Oh my God! He's done it! He has done it! He has Noah? Larry, what the hell are you doing?
Larry!
Larry, you can't just... Oh.
Larry! Oh, are you all right? How did...
Hello and welcome to the 2019 OS World Cup. Today we're bringing you the Qualifier Showcase. I'm joined today by two of this year's map poolers, Kano and OMG Force. How are you guys doing today?
Hello, I'm doing fine. How about you?
I'm not too bad, honestly. I'm pretty damn tired, but also excited.
So after an introduction like that, worth thanking Junior for that one. Very good obligatory staff video after the trend this year of all the teams making their own videos. But yeah, moving on. Before going into the Qualifier Showcase, you might be wondering why we're saying Qualifier Showcase and not the Group Stage Showcase this year. There's a couple of rule changes that we feel are pretty important to mention this year. So most notably, there is now no Group Stage, so it's actually straight from Qualifiers into a new round of 32.
Yeah, in terms of rule changes, there were a lot of rule changes. That one being the biggest one. They came from a tournament feedback phase with all the players beforehand, which we did between the two ODFCs, this one's and last year's. And the qualifier was pretty much a quite well solo after rule change because of a lot of people being stuck in groups, or like groups sometimes being the seeding groups being a bit wonky. Qualifiers have been used a lot in community tournaments, and this year it's gonna be a change to finally try out qualifiers in ODFC. Groups and qualifiers unfortunately aren't really possible because it doesn't really make too much sense having seeding twice. So we do lose some of the groups hype, but we hopefully will make up that with some really good grand finals and finals, having the best teams in the world, like really duking it out in the last stages.
I think it's also important to note that despite the qualifiers being a thing in the being no group stage, we're still going to see some very exciting matchups early on as well.
Yeah, it mostly just aims to iron out some of the seeding inconsistencies that we've seen and hopefully prevent France and Poland to losing groups this year. So next major important rule change is the pool size is actually going to change in some of the later rounds. You guys want to go into detail?
Yeah, so this year we're going to have a qualifier pool, which is a bit smaller, but we've also adjusted it so that the length isn't too bad for the players to play through. We're going to be going with a 4-2-2 method, so we're going to have 4 no mods, 2 hiddens, 2 hard rock, and 2 double time maps. It's meant to be roughly about 45 minutes of playtime for 2 runs, so hopefully the players won't be sitting there for too long, assuming that things go smoothly and you get, all organized. As for the next rounds, we've got round of 32 and round of 16, which are going to be 5-2-2-3-2-1, which is +1 to double time. So this year we're going to be rocking an extra double time pick, which is because in free mod you have the option of going hidden hard rock typically. So we kind of wanted to give double time a bit more love.
So about free mod, actually, the third major rule change is now free mod requires 1 player to run hidden and 1 player to run hard rock individually. Is that right?
That is correct.
Yeah, the kind of gist of the idea was, surprisingly, there was actually a phase a few years ago where people used this rule quite a lot in community tournaments. Then it somehow vanished, and free mod stayed the same as it is like last year's ODFC, where you are pretty much free to pick whatever. Maybe there were some additions with easy and flashlight for some tournaments, but in general it stayed the same as it was in ODFC. But now it's the return of the forced, I guess hard forced free mod. The idea is some maps are just way too easy on hidden only, where people would never use hard rock, and vice versa. It's also the case that some maps, especially approach 8 maps on free mod, are way too easy on hard rock for some teams. And in that case, it's it's a little bit better and more balanced if you force one of each like 2 players, one on each of these mods, and the rest can like choose freely about stuff. And something also to mention is the quarterfinal map pool size is gonna be pretty much the size going forward to the end stage, which is 6 nomad maps, 3 of each mods, 1 extra DT, and obviously a tiebreak. Yeah, actually that's it, never mind.
Alright, it's also worth noting that after quarterfinals, teams will now have 2 bans, which I believe is the first time in OWC ever. I could be wrong though.
Yeah, I think it actually is. That was actually, that's why I stopped myself. I was just about to talk about the 2 bans, but I was like, wait a second, that's not my job. But yeah, Kano, why is that actually? Why did we change it?
We wanted to give teams a little bit more freedom in terms of what they can and can't ban, but the other thing is that there's also a restriction on the mod brackets that they can ban from. So you cannot ban from the same mod twice if you're using these 2 bans. You cannot ban out 2 hiddens, so that way it still gives a little bit of freedom for bans, but you're not quite going to be able to ban out an entire mod as one team.
Alright, and last but not the least, I think this is kind of a huge one, but for the first time this year, I know for a fact this was the first time, there's actually going to be no fail involved. So no fail now does not reduce your score and is able to be picked. So it allows for a lot more room for certain maps to be played, especially on like hard rock because of the drain.
Right, so the idea of no fail, it has a bit of history. A lot of community tournaments have been using it for quite some time, mostly because of the unfairness players say is failing in the middle doesn't really matter because you just revive, but failing at the end is like a 100% score reduction. And that's a bit too harsh for players and not really balanced of the same fail or a fail counting as another fail. So a lot of community tournaments do count fails. So we tried implementing it for this year's OWC, and since there wasn't really since it was too much work to actually change the tournament client to just incorporate fail scores, the solution was to use no fail with a 1.0 multiplier. But for a compromise between OWC staff and staff, we do have it optionally used, so people can choose to use it or not to. But since it is a 1.0 multiplier, it does not change or reduce your score if you use no fail. And you can use it on any mod pack, you can use it on any map you want. Which I would just imagine people will use it on every single map, or at least on the maps they think they can fail for the beginning, and then towards the end, people will 100% only use no fail. Because it doesn't make sense, there's no downsides, right?
Yeah, so most importantly, it's pretty much just failed scores count. So this is the intent of this, and there's no score penalty for it. So yeah, that's about it for all of the rule changes. One other small thing before we head into the Mappool showcase is there is yet again another unofficial pick'em this year made by Halo Watcher. I believe there's a command in chat if you want to participate, but it's worth it. It's always a good time. The teams are already up right now if you want to select the 32 qualifying teams. And with that out of the way, I believe we are ready for the showcase. Are you guys?
Yeah.
Far away.
All right, so let's open up with the first Nomad.
And it's gonna be Light for Night. This one, Mimori Suzuko, and this one is the generic map. It is 6.54 stars, around 3 minutes and 20 seconds long, 190 BPM. Pro shot 9.5 for being a pretty comfortable pro shot to play. The gist of this map is just it's generic, a little bit of consistency, mostly aim. It does have a few streams here and there, so it doesn't feel too much like an aim practice map. It is unranked. People mostly don't really know it. Maybe something to mention or worth mentioning is that this is the Qualifiers pool, and this one it has the difficulty of around the round of 16 pool. We're gonna start a lot harder, but scale a little bit slower. since there was also
I was gonna say, I think that's
Yeah.
the first thing that's like immediately noticeable is this is a lot harder than group stage was last year.
Yeah, definitely. So nothing is as easy as group stage last year, 100%. You can maybe compare a round of 16-ish or this difficulty to quarterfinals last year, I guess. Like between quarterfinals and round of 16 something. Yeah, this one is the consistency pick. We did have to change some things, which is different from the original version. We did contact the mapper. There is a 4.2 CS difficulty out now. And yeah, that's pretty much it, I believe.
Yeah, I think that sums up the map pretty well. It's mostly just features some aim and stream component. There is also a light 1/3 section, which on Score V2 you might drop a little bit of accuracy on some of the sliders in particular. But besides that, this is a pretty straightforward map. Fairly comfortable overall. The jumps aren't anything too awkward for these players.
It's the good old No Mod 1.
Good old No Mod 1.
Yeah, also something worth mentioning is that Silva is also in the map pulling team, and his job is mostly to also play stuff a lot. So you're probably only gonna see, I think you're only gonna see Silva replays today. Don't
That's
flex
good.
on us.
I don't think
Good
anyone's
player.
gonna complain about seeing Silver play.
Right.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing to have that on board. I do remember a couple of years ago, well, even just last year, the map pulling team was asking players that were already eliminated, and sometimes I was asked, and I was asked to play stuff I couldn't really play. So glad to have
Yeah,
Silver for that. Thank you, Silver.
Do you mind filling in for this double time pick, Aza?
Yeah, I was about to say, like, when you get limited, I'm gonna call you for this 270 BPM speed pick.
All right, okay. I think Silver can play that one. It's okay.
No, we're just trying to support your TapX playstyle. Come on.
That's worth noting as well. After round of 16, I believe, if I'm not wrong, we will be launching the banners if you want to support your favorite team. If you haven't watched the World Cup yet and you're not familiar with those, it's basically just a banner that goes on top of your profile, and the money used to buy it goes actually in contribution to the prize pool of the tournament. So
Yeah, and also you get bragging rights. Plus you can subscribe to the Twitch channel, that's also an option, so you can get happy pants.
and if your team wins, well, not your team, but if the team in your banner wins the World Cup, you actually get to keep it for a year. So pretty good buyer banners, lol. Anyway, moving on to No Mod 2. How's this one, Kano?
So this map is Mastermind Dreadnought. This is a cherry blossom map which features a lot of streams, as you would probably expect. That's definitely something you'd want present in a qualifier pool. This has a really long stream in the middle in particular, but a lot of longer streams are featured in this map. There's definitely some aim sections, and I think there's also some spread out triples which you could miss on towards the end, but this is definitely heavily focused on the stream aspect. It's 192 BPM as well, so you're going to require a fair bit of stamina for this one. But definitely
I think
should be
this is
fine
a
for most teams.
pick. This is definitely a pick that a lot of people are going to be comfortable with. This has been pretty present in tournaments over the past 2 years or so, right? So
Yeah, and also this one is pretty bog standard. You don't see any of those fancy 1/3 except that one. Well, it's pretty straightforward and very linear and easy to aim. So I'm gonna expect like maybe at least one person to miss on that, but not a lot of people. It's not gonna be a deal breaker, because even if you miss once and screw up maps, you do have a second playthrough in the qualifiers.
I think, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, as you can see here, we're getting into some of the parts where the streams sort of start to change in spacing. You get like the stacked ones, which then space out. This is probably one of the spots where people are most likely bound to miss, but yeah. Also these triples as well, these are nasty, depending on the player. If you're someone who just prefers your streams and not so much your aim.
Yeah, they definitely require a bit more specific snapping compared to just your standard flow aim, which you just needed to use for those long strings before. But yeah, the reason for the difficulty in general is since the qualifier stage does have to weed out players and seed them properly, we can't go for the really easy group stage where everyone sees everything. You do need to have some kind of contrast between the best teams and good teams, right?
For sure. So after this one, we will now be moving on to the third Nomad.
And this one is gonna be the alternate pick. It's gonna be Toby Fox Chaos King. It's gonna be Mirage's Expert. This one is on the shorter side because we do have a qualifier which is being played twice. So this one is short, but pretty much concise to the point. It features alternating patterns which are on the harder side, which you usually see on harder alternate maps, like accelerating patterns, overlapping patterns. Those patterns in general are gonna be only seen in really hard alternate maps. If you compare it to, for example, a Vel 0108 alternate map, that one's more consistent in its spacing. But yeah, this one is on the easier side, but with difficult patterns. I would only reckon people with 4-wave see this one if they really do have good skill in alternating.
Yeah, it looks like this has so much aim control in it. It's like not in the places you'd expect, but I feel like it can catch you off guard just by looking at her, and definitely see a couple of like one misplays here and there.
Yeah, definitely a lot of aim control involved in this one. As you can see, there's a lot of accelerating and decelerating streams, so you need an awful amount of control for this one. A lot of the difficulty is present in the middle, but it's still possible to miss anywhere on this map, to be honest. It's just that the middle section stays difficult for such a long time.
Actually, a brief thing I want to talk about, because I don't think we actually mentioned it, but you briefly just did, is that all of the teams are going to be playing through all of the qualifier maps twice. So it should take about 45 minutes in total for everyone to play their pool.
Yep.
Kind of irons out a bit of the like random mistakes that some people might have. So
Right, you don't want USA to just get mid-seed because one player just missed. Wouldn't be a fun place.
and now I believe for the last Nomad.
Well, this one is going to be Eagle Hypersonic, a map by Mir. We actually had this map created for the qualifier pool, so this is going to be the first case of this happening. This map
yeah, it's not going to be the last.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not going to be the last, that's for sure. But this map features two sections, mostly. In this tech pick, we mostly wanted to go for something a little bit focused on slider-heavy stuff, like slider aim and whatnot. And then in the section, you've got some more advanced tech patterns. But they're definitely present in the first section as well.
And yeah, this one being mapped specifically, I think Mir has done a really good job. Also in the time frame he did have available. And yeah, just being the slider tech pick, this one complements the pool quite well. Of future picks, not to spoil anything yet.
I like this a lot. We're gonna have a lot of surprises every week, huh?
Yeah, we're gonna try our best to get as much fresh air into the pools as possible. I mean, by some stage we do have to, we're forced to. Last year there was huge issues with just no maps, right? Especially tiebreakers in the later stages. Things like, I don't know, high-level A maps which don't end up being one spike on 7.5 stars and the rest being like easy 6 stars. Is like one of the big culprits of just no maps out there, which are good for tournament play.
Yeah, we definitely had a limit of maps which fit tournaments specifically. We're going to be trying to get as many maps specifically for the tournament, but obviously we're still giving the mappers freedom to, you know, make it a quality map, which fits, you know, the criteria of mapping.
Some of these cut streams look pretty complicated.
They're pretty straightforward to play when you get to play it. It looks a lot harder than it is.
Alright, fair enough. So that's all of the Nomads for the qualifiers. We will now be moving on with Hidden, and oh boy, do I like this.
Oh yeah, so the reason why Nomad 4 was complementing the pool so wonderfully is because of Hidden 1, which is gonna be pretty much the rhythm tech pick on Hidden. This one has timing changes, BPM changes. It's just difficult, just really difficult rhythmically to play, and requires finger control and aim control. It does it does have a few jump streams here and there too, so it just has the entire package, I would say. And then on top of that, on hidden, you do have to concentrate a lot harder on the rim. You can't trust the approach circles.
Definitely interested to see how people are going to do on this, especially since people are actually going to get to practice it and learn it properly. But this is about as good as it gets for like a pure rhythm map. Always nice to see. An extra thing to mention about qualifiers as well is because there are 43 teams playing this year, 43 teams trying to qualify for the round of 32. We will not actually be streaming any of the qualifier matches because they're kind of just sitting in a multiplayer room by themselves. So, unfortunately, these maps are really cool, but might not get to see them on this stream at least. Maybe the teams themselves will be streaming it on their own. Probably will.
Yeah, although one would suggest people not to stream it, so people can try and rig the seedings by performing well or just bad on purpose. But it is up to every player. They are allowed to stream the matches if they do want to.
Now for the next hidden, very old map.
Yep, definitely an old one. Halcyon. This is a very, very tricky map which features a lot of sharp angles. It is an A8 hidden pick, so you can expect a lot of density out of this one. But as I mentioned, lots of sharp angles, some stream patterns, as you can see from that already, spaced out triples, all sorts of things that you can miss on. This is not going to be an easy one for the players. Unless you're quite an expert at A8 hidden, you're probably going to have a lot of trouble on this one. At least FCing this consistently, maybe not. It depends. There's a lot of tricky stuff in this though. You gotta really be on your toes to be able to full combo this one.
Yeah, and well, if you just think about Silva, he did have a bit of a mind block on this one, so it took him a little while to see it. So don't take this one.
Call him out like that.
Yeah, dude, I'm gonna have to. I mean, he kept us waiting for a few days. No, but this one is definitely not easy, and it's just gonna get harder from this point onwards, right? The thing with Approach 8 is always that it is very balanced towards the majority of people who cannot play, but then people who are really good at Approach 8 never really shine. And then, for example, last year we did have the issue of Tabito Ferry being the Grand Finals pick, which was way too hard by far. Probably the hardest map in the entire pool being the Approach 8. That's not something we're gonna plan to do this year. There's no Tabito Ferry again, but Approach 8 should definitely sit in that bracket where people who can't play it should definitely struggle on it a bit. I think this strikes a balance.
Yeah, this is definitely an upgrade from Crush last year in the groups, and even then people were still struggling to play Crush. So this is I like this. This is nice to see.
Yeah, I mean, we are trying to aim for something that's between round of 32 to round of 16 difficulty, so keep in mind that obviously when round of 32 does start, the map pool will go back a little bit from what this is. So this is just like, we're trying to make it relatively difficult so that teams get seeded correctly. Or at least to the best of our ability. We're trying to make it the best it can be.
Alright, so that's all the no mods, all the hiddens. Now we're moving on to Hard Rock.
And Hard Rock 1 is going to be Walpus Carter, FOF, or however you want to call that one. It is Listless Extra. And this one is going to be the 220 BPM jump map, I would say, because I don't think there are too many bursts, if any at all. This one focuses more on aim and the slider shapes. The slider shapes aren't like too bad to play. They definitely do require a bit more concentration. So even though the star rating says, well, 5.8, but adding Hard Rock to it, it's gonna end up at 6.24. And I would still say it's a bit underrated, not too much because it's mostly aim. But yeah, this one being the 3 minutes, 220 BPM jump map, getting you out of your comfort zone. But nothing more special about this one though.
Yeah, this map definitely features a lot of really, really awkward sliders, all sorts of weird and awkward aim, And not only that, but it is also 220 BPM, so there is that to it. It's a different style of aim that not everyone's entirely used to.
Yeah, this one mirroring the Nomad one, in essence, just for hard rock. Since Hidden didn't really have too much aim or like generic things, hard rock 1 does have to try and stand up for that and get a bit more of the genericness in there, because that's still part of player skill set and pretty much part of the entire PP meta right now, to be honest.
It's always essential to have this kind of map in.
Yeah, and I think 220 BPM jumps make this actually pretty difficult for people, because it is definitely something you do not play a lot.
I think it's kind of in the middle of the BPM range where people are comfortable, right? Usually it's like 200 or lower, or at that point you're playing DT and it's like 240 or higher.
Right, yeah. Nothing more to say. 3 minutes consistency. There's not really too many spikes in there. The ending is a little bit more space, but not by a lot. I think the star rating difference is like 0.1 if you delete the ending, which is almost nothing really.
Yeah, definitely a pick that's a lot more focused on slider control, as well as some awkward aim. Because as you can see, some of these sliders would probably be fairly easy to fall off of. Just randomly.
Alright, so that's the first hard rock pick. Let's see the next one.
So the next one is Orion's. It is a map by Cloyd. It is a classic map, which is CS 6.5, so you're going to need a lot of precision for this one. It features a lot of aim control, mostly on some of these streams. They can get really, really tricky. But overall, it's a pretty standard map, I would say. There's some spacing changes, as you can see. Some basic aim patterns, but for the most part, it shouldn't be too difficult for most of the players.
Yeah, this one being the standard CS 6.5. It's also a bit more on the generic side, so nothing techy or anything about it. But you definitely have to have a lot of aim control for this one. And I think you can definitely screw up your accuracy and drop a lot of accuracy in the beginning if you're not used to the I think the BPM change it is. But it definitely, it's just a lot slower than the entire map. It's 180 BPM, I think it's 140 at the beginning. Yeah, just be sure to not drop back, at least on your second playthrough. You should know by then that it is slower in the beginning. Please do not forget this.
Right, whereas the other pick kind of seemed more about who can FC it. To me, this looks more like who gets good act, personally. Or at least it allows the players that are really, really accurate on this type of stuff to shine a little bit more.
There's not really too much where you can 100% miss. There's maybe this one little video stream, but you can cheese through it in the middle. You do need just good thing control for that to like cheese through it, I guess.
Yeah, I think more likely you're going to see players miss on some of the stream patterns. In particular, you might see some people struggling just with the precision aspect as well as the control aspect, seeing as there's like some change of pace in those streams. One moment you're doing like a small amount of spacing and then a large amount of spacing.
Alright, so that's all the hard rocks. Now we only have 2 maps left, and they will be the double time map.
Please don't make me say this name. I'm gonna try. It's Senya Shonen yo Toku no Sakigake no Tonare. It's Narcissus.
Close.
Insane. This one is generic. 230 BPMs. It is generic, but it definitely does have its fair amount of streams. It's 232 BPM, and don't trust the star rating. It is 6.23 stars on double time at the mod application, and approach rate 10 on double time, 2 minutes 36 seconds. Aimpad is a really generic, really comfortable to play, but the gist is to also make this feel a bit more speedy. You have a bunch of triples and a bunch of 7x or 11x bursts on the map, and it just does the same thing until the end.
Yeah, for the most part, the map is pretty straightforward. There isn't anything too fundamentally difficult, obviously, besides the speed aspect. So if you are a player that doesn't have the speed for this, you're probably going to struggle if you're in for it, but it's most likely that your team's got you covered for it.
Yeah, I mean, this is only the qualifier stage, so it's not like anyone's going to have a direct opponent, but typically this type of pick is always the most picked because it's just the most comfortable for most teams. So I think when it comes to average score maybe on each map, this is certainly going to be the highest one.
Yeah, I can also predict the amount of times this is going to be played. It's going to be played 2 times every lobby. So I do have your pick statistics there.
Wow, that's weird. All the maps are tied. How could this happen?
Yeah, I don't know. There's something weird going on this year. I would like to thank the statistician and Wolf. That he's the reason why I was able to predict all of those 2 picks. We do have a great team.
Yeah. Not only that, I want to mention this is a relatively modern map, as you can probably tell, but it is AR 8.5, which on double time is around AR 10, I believe. So there is that to mention as well. So we've got one double time which is higher approach rate than the other.
Yeah, you don't want to end up having too many old maps in there, so you do try to balance stuff out with modern maps.
Alright, that's it for this one. There's only one map remaining. And let's see it. Oh, yes.
And the last double time is going to be Melody. After quite a lot of debate about which AR8 DT we wanted to go for, this was the one that ended up making it through. As you can tell, this is a relatively old map. It features a lot of bursts, and based on the patterns, you can see that this is an old map. But yeah, lots of triples, all sorts of, you know, jumps and slider aim and whatnot, but yeah, this is heavily focused on the bursts.
Yeah, shout out to BD Dev. I stole pretty much all of his approach at 8 maps, so we're pretty much well equipped for the next stages. But there's a lot of debate about this one and whether this one is the right one. There are so many different choices, really. But yeah, we did end up going for this one. The speed pick is supposed to be the background, but not too long of streams. It's 263-ish BPM. Don't want to go for like really long streams yet. It's only the qualifiers yet, but you can definitely imagine that streams and speed is gonna be definitely a factor, which is gonna be becoming ever so difficult, just like any other type of map.
It's worth noting that on the stream the map card didn't update, so we don't actually have the map stats. If you guys want to go over those.
Alright, yeah, the map stats are being 6.01 stars after multiplication, 2 minutes 30 seconds, 262 BPM, approach at 9.67, well, approach at 8 DT, 9.11 OD, and HP 7, which, well, obviously doesn't really matter too much if you play no threat on it. And as you can see, max combo being 981. Definitely wrote that down in the notes, not just what that Silver's score. Unless he's slider and miss, but I'm just gonna flame him for that.
Let's be honest, what would a Mappool be without both Senya and Dor next to each other?
Yep. Typical DT pool, and no one complains.
Yeah, last year, I think it was like the 7th expansion being in every pool and Senya. Let's see how we're gonna do this year.
Don't forget ZTS as well.
Yeah, how many ZTS can you guys fit in this year? But that will be it for the qualifier map pool. So it's 10 maps in total. Pretty damn good, I have to say. You guys did a good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And again, I'll reiterate that none of the qualifier matches are going to be streamed. So that means that for us, on the behalf of the entire OWC staff team, we'll be seeing you next week for the next pool showcase, as well as give you an update on how the qualifiers went. So thanks for joining us, guys. Thank you, Kano. Thanks Forrest as well. And we will be seeing you guys next week.
Yep.
Goodbye.
See you later.